This is a prophecy alert. A prophecy alert. Are you serious? Are you serious? This is a prophecy. This is a prophecy alert. Are you serious? Prophecy alert. I'm Pastor Paul Begley, and this is the Coming Apocalypse YouTube version of that. And we have a prophecy alert. Israel's government has collapsed. The government of Naphtali Bennett, that's just a little over a year old, has collapsed. And will have to be a fifth election, the fifth election in 3 years, which is unprecedented. Let me tell you about this. And Naphtali Bennett is stepping down as the prime minister, and Yair Lapid will become the new prime minister of Israel in about a week or so. Now, let's talk about this. And it does have huge biblical ramifications when it comes to a two-state solution just before Joe Biden gets there next month. Let's talk about noblegoldinvestment.com. That's www.noblegoldinvestment.com. Global reset, building of the third temple, parting of the land, the rise of the mark of the beast, 666. What is going to happen next? Recession, debacle in Afghanistan, southern border collapsing, the economy collapsing, the stock market collapsing, the interest rates are going through the roof. Do you know Noble Gold? Pick up the phone and call them right now. 877-646-5347. That's 877-646-5347. We are running out of time. Your 401k needs protected. Set up a gold IRA with noblegoldinvestment.com. They'll give you this free 3-ounce coin, the American Silver Virtue Coin. They'll give it to you for free if you set up a gold IRA. You need to protect yourself, your family, and your future. Call noblegoldinvestment.com. Tell them Pastor Begley sent you there. Here's what's happening. Prophecy alert. The Israeli government has collapsed. I repeat, the Israeli government has collapsed. And here is the word on the street. Israel's heads for its unprecedented fifth election in 3 years after its fragile coalition government collapses. After 12 years of stability and strength of Benjamin Netanyahu, Naphtali Bennett's fragile government collapses a little bit after a year. Israel's Prime Minister Naphtali Bennett announced in a television speech today that his government would put forward a bill to dissolve the parliament next week, effectively sending the country to its fifth election in 3 years. Bennett said he had exhausted all options to stabilize his fragile minority coalition, which has suffered from rebellious lawmakers in recent weeks. Sounds a lot like the swamp here in America. But according to Israel media, Bennett's decision took a number of his colleagues by surprise, among them Defense Minister Benny Gantz. The most recent pressing issue that brought the coalition on a verge of collapse was a failure to pass a bill that would extend Israeli law to Jewish settlers in the West Bank. This is huge, guys. This is the Jews that live in Judea and Samaria. These are the very Jews that Jesus said, if you live in Samaria, if you live in Judea, you're going to have to flee into the mountains. Well, now the Israeli government will not protect them under Jewish law, and that goes into effect next month on July the 1st. So Bennett has been ousted, and Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu was taken out in June of 2021. Now Bennett is being taken out in June of 2022. And the right-wing leader and former Naphtali ally and the 8-party coalition consisted of his own nationalist party, as well as a right-wing centrist and a left-wing parties. And for the first time in the country's history, an Arab Israeli party was even in on the coalition. But despite portraying itself as the government of change, a number of Netanyahu policies remained in place, such as the opposition to a Palestinian state or a two-state solution. Instead, he was expanding the West Bank settlements and airstrikes. He also was doing airstrikes on Iranian targets in Syria, and he was opposition to the nuclear deal with Iran. Now, with President Joe Biden about to show up in Israel, they have removed Naphtali Bennett. This is not a good thing if you love the nation of Israel, and if you love and you don't want a two-state solution, and if you're afraid that the government will succumb to the pressure of the United Nations, which is exactly what is happening. Israel's parliament will be dissolved. The foreign minister, Yair Lapid, will become the prime minister. Israeli Prime Minister Naphtali Bennett and Foreign Minister Yair Lapid have agreed to dissolve the parliament, triggering a new election, the 5th in 3 years. And Lapid will be, in the meantime, will take over as prime minister, as confirming local media reports. A vote will be held in parliament next week, after which Lapid will take over be prime minister. And Lapid and Bennett are expected to issue the statement at 8 o'clock later tonight. Now, Lapid and Bennett had formerly an unlikely coalition after 2 years of political stalemate, after they both used their collective powers to get rid of Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. But that fragile coalition only lasted a year. And now Lapid, who is literally wants a two-state solution. Bennett and Lapid agree to dissolve Israel's government, and Israel's Prime Minister Naphtali Bennett, along with his key coalition ally Foreign Minister Yair Lapid, have agreed to submit a bill to dissolve parliament, and this will trigger a general election, the 5th in 3 years. A short statement by the Prime Minister's office said the move came after attempts to stabilize the coalition have been exhausted. And this bill will be submitted to Parliament at some point next week. And if it is passed, which it will be, Lapid will become the new prime minister. He'll take over for Naphtali Bennett, in line with an original coalition agreement struck last year. Among other things, get this, this would mean that Lapid would be Israel's leader when the planned visit by U.S. President Joe Biden next month. Biden has already said he wants a two-state solution. He wants to expand the Abraham Accords into a two-state solution. And Lapid, there's no secret about it. Lapid has made statements in the past and still does that the future of Israel must be a two-state solution. In his remarks, Lapid said it is no secret that he supports a two-state solution between Israel and the Palestinians, but that the conditions are not conditionally in place for a peace agreement yet. That's what he said, that while being as the foreign minister, but he will soon become the prime minister. So Lapid said it. There is no secret that he supports a two-state solution between Israel and the Palestinians. And folks, it's also no secret that Joe Biden is pushing for a two-state solution as well. Matter of fact, Lapid said a future Palestinian state must be a democracy that seeks peace with Israel. So he wants a two-state solution, and he wants it to be a democracy, which it will be, but it will be guided by the United Nations. Bennett and Lapid have agreed to dissolve Israel's government. Guys, this is huge. Let me tell you where Lapid said this just last year in December the 7th. And I went back and I found the article. And here it is. And I'll show it to you. It's at Ynet News. But Lapid declares support for a two-state solution before the European Union counterparts. And there it is. Israel's top diplomat said this. This was published on December the 7th of 2021. Conditions are right, he said, are not ripe for peace agreements, but stresses future Palestinian state must be a democracy that seeks peace with Israel. And he notes his intention for Jerusalem to turn over a new leaf in ties with the continental bloc. He went on to say in his remarks, he said that it is no secret that he supports a two-state solution between Israel and the Palestinians. But he noted that the conditions are not currently in place for that peace agreement. Now, this is December 7th of 2021, just 6 months ago. A future, he said, Palestinian state must be a democracy that seeks peace with Israel. And Lapid said he supports all humanitarian activities in favor of the Palestinians and any effort made to improve their economic situation. He also declared that Israel is seeking to open a new chapter in the relations with the European Union, emphasizing the liberal values shared by Israel and the European Union. So the EU foreign policy chief, Joseph Borrell, who welcomed Lapid to Brussels, said that the bloc was hoping for a fresh start with this new government. It's important that the new Israeli government comes here to Brussels. It is an opportunity for a fresh start, said Borrell after meeting with Lapid. And I think it's a good opportunity for us to restart our relations, which is in the past was quite deteriorated. So Lapid is a globalist, and Lapid is making a decision. He will become the new prime minister, and he has made a decision, folks, that he said there's no secret. He wants a two-state solution. He said that on December 7th of 2021, and here it is June of 2022, and already Naftali Bennett's government has collapsed, and Lapid will become the prime minister, and there will be a new election. Now, Lapid may only be prime minister for a few months, and when the new election's held, he may not win. But these few months might be just enough for President Joe Biden, who is going to show up next month, who is pushing for a two-state solution, or the parting of the land. This is huge. I repeat, this is a prophecy alert. This is a prophecy alert. We are in a very strange time, a time when the Israeli government is so inconsistent and is so fragile. My good friend, Rabbi Yehuda Glick, who was once a member of the Knesset for 2 years and is the leading activist to build the third temple right to, which side is it? Is it that side? To build the third temple right behind me here on the Temple Mount. He is undoubtedly, I remember being in his office. I remember saying to him, you do realize that the United Nations is pushing hard for a two-state solution. And he slammed his desk and said, there will never be a two-state solution. They'll never part the land. Well, it's been 5 years since that day when he slammed his desk, and there's a different government going in which he's not in it no more, and neither is Netanyahu. Instead, the lefties are taking over, and they want to form a two-state solution. And is it time? So I've got to go. I've got a plane to catch. I wanted to share this with you. We are in biblical prophecy, and time is running out. I'll be back with more. I'll keep you up to speed with this breaking news coming out of Jerusalem. God bless all of you. Are you serious? We are in the last